You ever have a moment where the world just stops? Not in some poetic, slow-motion, movie scene way. I mean really stops, like your brain slams on the brakes because what you're seeing doesn't make sense. That was me. Standing in the hallway. One hand still on the doorknob. Looking at my husband. And my little sister. In our bed. Nick. And Katie. Both of them froze like kids caught sneaking out, half-dressed and stunned, like I wasn't supposed to exist. And me? I didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. I just blinked. Took one breath. Then turned around and walked out. I made it to the car. Just sat there. Hands on the wheel, not moving. Staring at the garage door like it might give me answers. The numbness came fast. No tears. No fury. Just static. Let me back up. My name's Erin. I'm 34. I work in construction management, high-pressure job, long hours, lots of logistics. I like things with structure. Schedules. Blueprints. I build things for a living. Guess the irony writes itself. Nick and I were together 6 years. Married for 4. We had issues, sure, who doesn't? But I thought we were okay. Not movie perfect, but steady. Safe. Then Katie showed up. My sister had just gotten back from overseas. Spent the last few years bouncing around NGOs and yoga retreats and whatever else made her feel centered. She didn't have a place lined up, so I offered the guest room for a few weeks. Nick didn't protest. Actually, he was weirdly enthusiastic. Said it'd be nice having family around, that maybe it'd help bring some life back into the house. I thought, sure. Why not? The first few days were fine. Normal. I was working long days on a commercial site downtown. Gone before sunrise, home by 8, exhausted. Nick worked remotely, consulting, mostly legal stuff. Katie was figuring things out, which seemed to involve a lot of green smoothies, long showers, and taking up space. And slowly, something started to feel off. They were too synced. Too casual. She'd laugh a little too hard at his dumb jokes. He started shaving every day again, out of nowhere. I caught them once in the kitchen, music playing, wine glasses on the counter, and she was barefoot, dancing like we were in college again. And him? Watching her like he forgot I existed. I brushed it off. Because he was my husband. She was my sister. They'd never. Yeah. That's what I told myself. Until that Thursday. When I came home early. Walked up the stairs. Opened the bedroom door. And everything broke. I don't even remember turning the key in the ignition. I just drove. No music. No destination. Just me, the road, and the kind of silence that presses on your chest like a weight. I ended up pulling into some crappy roadside motel an hour outside the city. Neon sign buzzing. Office smelled like stale coffee and burned air freshener. I handed over my card, didn't even look at the room number. Inside, I collapsed onto the bed like my spine gave out. Stared at the ceiling fan, not blinking. Mind racing with every possible version of, what the hell just happened? And still, no tears. It wasn't shock. It was clarity. Cold, brutal clarity. I could see it all now, the signs I'd ignored. How Katie laughed harder when he was around. How Nick stopped asking me about my day. How they'd exchange those little glances when they thought I wasn't looking. I wanted to scream at myself for not seeing it. But mostly, I just felt hollow. I grabbed the old notebook I kept in my bag for work, to-do lists, punch items, site checklists, and flipped to a clean page. At the top, I wrote one word, exit. Under it, I started listing. Bank account. Lawyer. Temporary place to stay. Work schedule. People I trust. What I need to take with me. And at the very bottom, I wrote. What I'm owed. Not money. Not revenge. Just peace. And maybe the truth. I didn't sleep that night. The sheets were stiff. The room too quiet. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Not the act, God, thankfully not that, but the moment. Their faces. Her hand on his chest. His eyes going wide when he saw me. My sister. And my husband. I mean, how the hell do you even begin to process that? You build a life thinking some people are untouchable. Safe. Yours. And in one ordinary afternoon, they blow it all up like it meant nothing. I lay there, under that scratchy motel blanket, and whispered out loud. I will not fall apart over this. And weirdly, I meant it. The next morning, I got up at 6. Still no sleep. No appetite. But my brain? Laser focused. It's funny how betrayal can turn you into a machine. No panic. No crying fits. Just pure execution. I drove straight into town. Didn't go home. Didn't text anyone. I went to a Wells Fargo branch and closed our joint account. Transferred my direct deposit to my personal savings. Thank God I never removed it. Next, the lawyer. I Googled divorce attorneys from the parking lot of a Panera. Found a woman with 5 stars and a tagline that said, compassionate but tough. I didn't need compassionate. But I definitely needed tough. She squeezed me in for a consult at 3:30. When I sat across from her, I didn't start with a sob story. I just said, I caught my husband in bed with my sister yesterday. I want out. She blinked once, then nodded. Let's get started. And just like that, I wasn't a victim. I was a client. That afternoon, I called in a favor from a friend of a friend who managed short-term rentals. Found a small place near the lake, furnished, quiet, off the grid. I booked it for the next 3 weeks. Gave them my work email. Told no one else. I wasn't going back to that house. Let them figure it out. Let them sleep in the bed they stained. You know what's wild? I wasn't angry. Not in the traditional sense. I was clear. Cold. Sharp. Like something inside me had snapped into place. This wasn't going to be about revenge. This was about boundaries. About self-respect. I didn't want to scream or destroy his car or call Katie every name in the book. I just wanted my life back. Without either of them in it. And I was going to take it. One step at a time. I went back to the house 2 days later. Middle of the afternoon. I knew Katie wouldn't be there. She'd started some temp job, probably pretending she wasn't a walking disaster. I hoped Nick wouldn't be there either. But, of course, he was. I didn't knock. It was still my house, technically. I walked in with a duffel bag and a list. He was sitting at the kitchen table like it was just another Tuesday. Coffee mug, laptop, pretending to be busy. When he looked up and saw me, he froze. Aaron, he said, like my name still fit in his mouth. I didn't answer. Just walked past him, up the stairs, straight into the bedroom. It smelled different. Like cheap perfume and betrayal. I started packing. My clothes, my laptop, my work gear, my backup hard drive, the sweatshirt my dad gave me before he passed, basically, everything that still felt like mine. He stood in the doorway, silent at first. Then. Can we talk? I didn't look up. What's left to say, Nick? He shifted. Cleared his throat. It wasn't supposed to happen. I actually laughed. A single, bitter laugh that didn't even sound human. You mean you didn't plan to sleep with my sister in our bed? How comforting. He tried again. I didn't mean to hurt you. You just meant to what? I turned to face him. Share Spotify playlists and body heat with the one person I trusted most? His face crumpled like a kid caught cheating on a test. She was just around. We were both lonely. I blinked. I was in the house, Nick. You weren't lonely. You were bored. He said, I made a mistake. And I said, no, Nick. A mistake is forgetting to take out the trash. You made a choice. The silence after that was heavy. He tried to step closer, like proximity could fix anything. I took a step back. Don't. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I zipped up the bag, slung it over my shoulder, and walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't even look back. I didn't need to. I already knew there was nothing behind me worth saving. She called me a week later. Katie. My sister. The person who used to sleep on the bottom bunk, steal my clothes, cry to me about high school breakups. The same person I'd once bailed out of a gas station parking lot at 2 a.m. because she was too anxious to drive home. She called from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed again. Same number. I picked up. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to. Needed to hear what kind of person could do what she did and still think they deserved a conversation. Aaron? Her voice was small. Careful. I didn't answer. I wanted to talk. I let the silence stretch. I know you probably hate me, she said quickly. And I wouldn't blame you. I didn't plan for this to happen. I closed my eyes. There it was. The line. The classic, I didn't plan for this. Like falling into bed with your sister's husband is just something that accidentally happens between Netflix and folding laundry. You know what's wild? I said, finally. You didn't just sleep with him, Katie. You moved into my house. Ate my food. Talked to me like we were best friends. And all that time, you were screwing my husband behind my back. I wasn't trying to hurt you, she said, and her voice cracked. Well, I snapped, you're not very good at that either. She went quiet. Then, softly, I was lost, Aaron. I came back home with nothing. No job, no money, no idea what I was doing. And Nick, he was just there. He listened. He was kind. Oh, was he? I laughed. Because I don't remember kindness involving taking off your clothes in someone else's marriage. I know it's unforgivable. I know that, she rushed in, like speed would soften the truth. But you have to believe me, it wasn't about you. It was never about you. And that's when something in me snapped. I stood up, right there in the tiny rental kitchen, my hand clutching the edge of the counter like it might hold me together. You're damn right it wasn't about me, I said. Because if it had been, if you had actually thought about me, you never would have done it. She was crying now. I could hear it. And for once in my life, I didn't care. 6 years, I said. 6 years I stood by him. Paid bills. Cooked dinners. Took care of everything while he figured himself out. And you? You come in for 2 weeks and what, suddenly you're soulmates. No, she whispered. It wasn't like that. Then what was it? I demanded. Tell me, Katie. What do you call sleeping with your sister's husband while she's working overtime to keep the damn lights on? She didn't answer. Of course she didn't. Because there isn't a word for that. Not one that doesn't leave a bitter taste in your mouth. After a long pause, she said, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I let out a shaky breath. You don't get to apologize and feel better, I told her. You don't get both. If you're looking for comfort, call someone who doesn't know what your back looks like under my husband. Silence. Then I hung up. Just ended it. No goodbye. No closure. Just a click. Because some things don't deserve a ceremony. And honestly, I didn't feel lighter. I didn't feel avenged. I felt done. And that was enough. The lake house was small. Not romantic getaway, small, just functional. 1 bedroom, a decent kitchen, mismatched furniture that looked like it was donated by 5 different people in 4 different decades. But it was clean. Quiet. And most importantly, mine. I didn't tell anyone where I was. Not my coworkers. Not my mom. Not even my best friend, Jenna, who would have shown up with wine and a crowbar if I gave her the chance. I needed to be alone. Not forever. Just for this part. The messy, bone-deep part where your world caves in and you have to crawl out from under it without screaming. I spent the first 2 days doing nothing. Literally nothing. I sat on the couch. Drank tea I didn't want. Stared out the window at the still, greenish water. There was a heron that stood on the dock every morning. He looked like he didn't give a damn about anything. I wanted to be that heron. I took walks. Not long ones. Just enough to feel like I existed. I found a trail behind the house that smelled like pine needles and damp earth. I let my phone die and didn't charge it for 48 hours. And then, on the 3rd morning, I woke up and realized something. I hadn't thought about them all night. Not once. No flashes of Nick's voice. No images of Katie's face. No mental replays of that moment in the bedroom. Just sleep. Real sleep. It startled me, honestly. You expect pain to keep you hostage forever. When it lets go, even for a second, it feels suspicious. Like a trick. But it wasn't. I got up. Made coffee. Sat on the tiny front porch wrapped in a blanket and sipped it slowly while the sun came up. It tasted like freedom. Later that day, I made a list. Not of things I needed to fix or organize or escape from, but things I wanted. Real things. Quiet things. Things that belonged only to me. At the top. Peace. Underneath it. Not needing to explain myself. Laughing without guilt. New sheets. Going to bed without tension in my shoulders. Cooking for one and liking it. Not waiting for someone to come home. It wasn't a revenge list. It was a resurrection list. I opened my laptop for the first time since I'd left and emailed my boss. Told her I needed a week off. Didn't explain why. She replied 10 minutes later, "Take 2. You've earned it." That night I made pasta. Simple, garlic heavy, way too much olive oil. I sat at the table with a glass of wine and ate it slowly, like I had all the time in the world. Because I did. I had time now. No one waiting. No one watching. No one tearing holes in my trust while smiling across the dinner table. Just me. And the quiet. And a second helping of pasta because why the hell not? And that was the first time, since everything imploded, that I felt something close to okay. Not whole. Not healed. But, still standing. And after everything? That counted for something. It started with 1 missed call. Then 3. All from Nick. He didn't leave voicemails at first, just those silent notifications that sit on your screen like landmines. I ignored them. I told myself I wouldn't listen, wouldn't look, wouldn't let him crawl into my headspace again. But by day 5, he cracked. At 2:13 a.m., he left the first voice message. I saw it in the morning, while sipping my second coffee on the porch, watching the fog roll off the lake. I stared at the notification. Listened to the birds chirping like nothing in the universe was wrong. And then, against my better judgment, I hit play. His voice came through like a ghost. "Hey, it's me. No shit. I don't know where to start. I know you don't want to hear from me. I get that. I really do. But I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Pause. A breath. The sound of his fingers tapping something, his thigh, probably. I miss you, Aaron. I miss the way you make coffee. The way you always double-check if the door's locked, even when I already said I did it. The way you talk in your sleep. God, I miss hearing you breathe next to me. I felt nothing. Not hate. Not warmth. Just, nothing. I didn't mean to fall into this. With her. I swear to God, I didn't go looking for it. It just, happened. There it was. The phrase men have been using to dodge accountability since the beginning of time. It just happened. Like gravity. Like the weather. Like sleeping with my sister was a natural disaster he couldn't possibly have prevented. I was in a bad place, he said. We both were. You were always working, and I felt so alone. She was there, and she listened, and... I know that sounds pathetic, but it's the truth. He paused again. Then quieter, almost a whisper, you were always the better one. I closed my eyes. Let that sentence hang in the air. You were always the better one. As if that meant something now. As if that erased what he'd done. I want to fix this, he said. I know I probably can't. But if there's any part of you that thinks maybe one day, maybe we could talk, just call me. Please. Click. That was it. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then deleted the message. Not because I was angry. But because I didn't need it. I didn't need his voice in my head. I didn't need his guilt soaking into my peace. I didn't need the constant replays of his half-truths, his maybe I didn't means, his desperate little edits of the story where he gets to be the guy who just messed up. He didn't mess up. He betrayed me. He made a choice, over and over again, until it became a life. And that life didn't include me. So no. I didn't call him back. Didn't respond to the next 3 messages either. Or the text that said, please don't hate me. I didn't hate him. Because to hate someone, you have to still care. And me? I was done giving him that. Katie called again. It had been almost 3 weeks since everything detonated. I hadn't answered any of her texts, most of them were long, rambling apologies, half diary, half justification. I skimmed the first few. Then stopped reading. But that day. I answered. Maybe it was the coffee. Maybe it was the fact I'd finally started sleeping through the night. Maybe it was just time. I picked up. Didn't say hello. Aaron, she breathed, like she'd been holding it in since the second ring. I stayed silent. Thank you for picking up. I didn't think you would. Still nothing from me. I don't want anything. I swear. I know I can't undo what I did. I know I ruined everything. But you're my sister, and I miss you, and I hate what I did to you. Her voice cracked. I could picture her crying, curled up in some apartment with Nick's hoodie around her shoulders like it was still warm. You don't have to forgive me, she went on. I just needed to tell you that I was wrong. That I know I was wrong. And that I think about it every single day. I finally spoke. You think about you every day, I said. She froze. I could feel it through the phone. This isn't about your guilt, Katie. This is about what you did to me. What you took. You didn't just sleep with some guy I dated for 6 months. You slept with my husband. In my house. While I was still paying the damn bills. She whispered, I know. No, you don't, I snapped. Because if you knew, you wouldn't be calling me hoping I'll say something that makes you feel better. There was a pause. Then she said, that's not why I called. I laughed, dry, tired. Katie, you didn't call to confess. You called to get cleaned. I just wanted to hear your voice, she said. Even if it was angry. Well, here it is, I said. And I'm not angry. I heard her sniffle. I'm done, I continued. You don't get to feel guilty and also feel comforted. Choose one. She didn't reply. And if Nick told you this could be repaired, he lied. If you think time will make this okay, it won't. And if you think I'll ever come back to family dinners or group texts or laugh at your stupid little inside jokes again, no. Another silence. This one deeper. I loved you, I said quietly. You were my sister. I trusted you with everything. And you threw it away for attention and temporary affection from a man you barely knew outside of my life. Still no response. So I ended it. I wish you well, Katie. I really do. But you don't get access to me anymore. I hung up. And unlike last time, I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I didn't second guess. Because finally, I wasn't bleeding anymore. I was done explaining. Done holding her shame in my hands like it was my job to sort it out. She could keep her guilt. I had better things to hold. Like peace. Like space. Like the rest of my life. Funny thing about starting over, no one ever tells you how quiet it is. No dramatic movie montage. No wild haircut or spontaneous road trip. Just small, slow moments stacked on top of each other until one day, you look up and realize you've built something new. Mine started with curtains. The rental came with these awful beige things that made the whole place feel like a waiting room. So I bought new ones, light blue, soft linen, with tiny silver rings that clinked when you pulled them back. I hung them up myself, standing on a rickety chair, cursing every screw. And when I stepped back, it felt like mine. That tiny moment, those cheap curtains, shifted something in me. I started going to the same coffee shop every morning. I'd bring my laptop, not because I needed to work, but because it felt good to pretend I was writing something other than spreadsheets and damage reports. I talked to the barista, a kid named Miles with a nose ring and perfect handwriting. He never asked questions, just smiled and remembered my order. Oat milk, cinnamon on top. Every time. I took a yoga class. Hated it. Tried a pottery class. Loved it. Turned out shaping clay is wildly therapeutic, especially when your instructor is a retired nurse named Carol who swears like a sailor and brings homemade cookies. And I met someone. No, not like that. Not romantically. A woman named Tasha. She ran a landscaping business and had just left her fiancé after he emptied their joint account to fund a cryptocurrency scheme. We sat next to each other in a community workshop on practical resilience. She made a joke about smashing his hard drive with a shovel. I laughed. And we've been meeting for drinks ever since. It was the first time I'd laughed, really laughed, without checking myself. Without wondering if someone would use my joy against me. And then there was work. My boss called. Told me my spot was waiting. I hesitated. I didn't want the same desk, the same faces, the same rhythm that had existed before the collapse. So I asked for a change. A new project. Something far enough from downtown that I wouldn't have to drive past my old neighborhood. She said yes. I started working on a sustainable housing project just outside the city. Small town. Big potential. The kind of thing that reminded me why I loved this field in the first place. One afternoon, I was walking the edge of the site, boots thick with red clay, clipboard in hand, when I realized. I wasn't thinking about him. Not Nick. Not Katie. Not what they were doing or saying or regretting. Not whether they missed me. Not whether I missed them. I was just there. Present. Breathing. I drove home that night with the windows down, music playing, the air cool and soft on my face. And for the first time in what felt like years, I wasn't surviving something. I was just living. No more hiding. No more rehearsing the pain. No more pretending to be fine while slowly unraveling inside. Just me. Whole. Scarred, sure. But solid. And that, I realized, was the beginning of everything I thought I'd lost. The thing about endings is, they rarely feel like endings when you're in them. No slow fade to black. No swelling music. Just one last decision you make quietly, without drama or fireworks, and suddenly, you're free. It was a Tuesday when the divorce finalized. I got the email around 11 a.m. No balloons. No champagne pop. Just a PDF attachment and a subject line, "Final judgment filed." Like it was just another transaction, another item checked off a long, miserable to-do list. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I closed my laptop and went for a walk. No tears. No relief. Just a calm I hadn't felt in a very, very long time. It was over. Not just the marriage. The second-guessing. The bargaining. The endless spirals of how could he? Why her? What did I miss? That weight wasn't mine anymore. I walked down to the dock behind the lake house. Same dock where that heron still stood most mornings, looking mildly annoyed by my presence. This time, I stood beside him. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. I thought about Nick, not with longing or hatred. Just indifference. A name. A chapter. A man I once trusted who made himself irrelevant. A person whose absence turned out to be a gift. I thought about Katie. The sister I once would have defended against the world. The girl who turned my home into collateral damage. I didn't forgive her. But I didn't carry her anymore either. She'd chosen her path. I chose mine. And mine didn't involve looking over my shoulder. Back in the house, I made a list. Not out of habit. Not out of compulsion. Just because I wanted to see what came next. At the top, I wrote future. And under it, new apartment lease. Keep doing pottery. Host Jenna for wine night, finally. Say yes to the team hiking trip. Donate everything that still smells like before. Breathe. Later that evening, I lit a candle. Poured myself a glass of wine. No occasion. Just Tuesday. And I toasted myself. To the woman who stayed calm while her life burned down. To the woman who walked out without slamming the door. To the woman who didn't let betrayal define her, or ruin her softness, or turn her into something bitter. I wasn't broken. Just done. And in that done was something powerful. Something permanent. Something that said, I'm still here. And I'm not carrying your mess anymore. I stood by the window, looking out at the water, and whispered, maybe to the stars, maybe just to myself. They don't get to come with me. Not even as ghosts. And that was it. No applause. No dramatic exit. Just peace. My own. Finally.